Hello, and welcome to the East Africa Business Podcast. I'm Sam Floy, and I'm here on the continent to learn about the emerging business scene. I'll be interviewing startups, investors, and organisations who are all playing their part in helping the region develop and grow. And in doing this podcast, I'll be sharing with you the things that I learn along the way. Humans are good at a lot of business functions, but one where animals have got us beaten is at sniffing things out. Specifically, rats have the best sense of smell of all mammals and can detect landmines and tuberculosis to a much higher accuracy and in a fraction of the time of the best detection technology that humans can manage. Apopo trains rats from birth and then sets them out to do the job of detecting things which humans struggle at. Georgies and I discussed the application of Apopo rats, the school program that they go through, and how it's easier to train the giant African rat compared to a dog. This one is a lot of fun, and so I hope you enjoy. Be sure to check out the show notes for more information about how you too can get involved with what Apopo is up to. It's at samfloy.com/podcast. For now though, here is the interview. Cool. So I'm here today with Georgies from Apopo. Georgies, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sam.
So just to get us started, could you tell us a bit about you and a bit about Apopo?
Okay, thanks. Dr. Georgies Mgode. I'm a research fellow at Sokoine University of Agriculture in the Pest Management Center, which is also hosting the Apopo, a Belgian NGO that is dealing with training the African giant poached rats to detect landmine and tuberculosis. In this Apopo, I'm a program manager of TB detection operation in Tanzania.
So just so I've got it right, so the Apopo organization, they train rats to find landmines.
Yes.
Got it. And also you said something about tuberculosis?
Yeah, we also train these African giant rats to detect tuberculosis, human tuberculosis from, I would say, pulmonary tuberculosis from the sputum samples.
Got it. Okay. So, wow. So how old is the organization?
It's over 10 years ago. Started with the landmine detection in the late 90s, and in early 2000 we started exploring the possibility of using these African giant rats to diagnose human tuberculosis, which is so difficult to diagnose with available methods, particularly in the low income and the middle income countries, which are the most affected countries with the tuberculosis in the world. They are relying on sputum smear microscopy, which has a very low sensitivity, ranging from 20 to 60, and that can even go down in individuals who are co-infected with the HIV, which is also rampant in the sub-Saharan African countries. So we thought there is a need of coming up with a novel diagnostic tool, which is cheaper, that is also sustainable for low-income countries like ours.
Absolutely. Cool. So let's just talk about the rats for a bit. You say they're called the African giant rats. How big are they?
Quickly, I would say they are bigger, like size of a cat.
Okay.
Around that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many rats do you employ the rats? What do you say? How many rats do you own?
Well, we own huge hundreds, but they are in different categories. There are those rats which we keep them for breeding, getting offspring, getting babies that we train to diagnose TB, and we train these to detect landmine. And we have already trained rats that have passed the school. So it's a kind of like a population where you have different categories of individuals. For this case, we have it's like a school, which some rats are in early stages, I would say like a kindergarten, and some are at advanced stage like graduates who are being employed in TB detection and landmine. So for TB, we have 42 qualified, but we have also young ones, which are in lower classes coming up.
Got it. So can you talk me through what if I was born in like the Apopo hospital? Like, what if I was born as a rat? Can you talk me through my schooling career? What are the things that I'm taught?
Come again?
Can you tell me what is the training program for one of these? Let's say, imagine I'm a baby rat.
Okay.
Can you talk me through what it is and how long it will take, etc.?
Okay. The training program is following the Pavlov principle. In biology, we learned that Pavlov, the training that he was doing with dogs, we call it classical conditioning. So when the rat is born and reaches 4 weeks old, that's when the baby rat starts opening the eyes. So the first step will be for the trainers to start socializing, being friendly.
These are human trainers.
Yeah, human trainers. Yeah. So they'll be calling this baby rat and playing with it to make friendship. After that follows to train that rat to obey command, and the subsequent step is to train that rat to find a target. For TB, it's a sputum which is coming from a patient who is TB positive. For landmine, school is a TNT, the compound which are used to make explosives. So these are the steps. And when this rat is capable of hitting correctly over 80%, we consider it has passed. And this takes 6 months for one that is passing all the examination without repeating, and can take up to 9 months for that which have to resit some of the exams.
I see. Oh, so that there are some that need to go back.
Yes. Just like in the normal human schools.
So the rat goes from being born to sort of 6 months later being ready to go off to work.
Yeah, 7 months I would say. Because 1 month we leave it with the mother to get them feeding, weaning. Then after that, that's when it starts training.
Okay. Yeah. So then what happens after that? So let's say that I've been trained in tuberculosis detection, and I've just sort of graduated from Apopo school. What happens next?
Well, after that, then you'll become a very important individual, because a rat that has qualified to diagnose TB is capable of diagnosing like 150 individuals in 20 minutes. They have a super developed sense of smell. Among mammalian species, rats are the animals with a well-developed olfactory system, and they possess the largest number of olfactory receptor genes, more than any other mammal has. So they have a very big ability to discriminate, to categorize different order for different purposes. So in a fraction of a second, the rat is capable of knowing whether the particular sputum sample has a TB or not. And in 20 minutes, we've trained these rats to detect to around 150 patients in 20 minutes. If you compare with a human, according to the WHO standards, a qualified laboratory technologist in the hospital is supposed to detect around 20 sputum samples in a day. So that 100 is 7 days work for human beings. So the rats become very useful tool for mass screening, and can reduce the workload to lab technicians and screen large number of people. Similarly, reduce the possibility of TB transmission in the community.
Wow. So where does this screening take place? Is it that you get people in the community and then you get them in a room and then tell me how that works?
Okay, based on the high capacity, I say these rats are suitable for mass screening. With a small population, it's not a very good tool for a small population, because, like I say, they detect 100, up 150 in 20 minutes. So you need the hospitals that have large number of patients coming. For this case, you need to have a centralized system, a laboratory that is being fed by different hospitals receiving samples from hospital. For the current model, we are based at Sokoine University in Morogoro. That's where the central TB lab, detection rats lab is. And we are receiving samples as far as Dar es Salaam, which is 200 kilometers away, coastal region, and the Morogoro. To date, we are receiving samples from 28 hospitals. Yet, this has not reached the full capacity of these rats, meaning that more and more hospitals could still bring the samples, and we can handle that. Yeah.
I understand. So, is it that somebody sends in a blood sample? Is it that they're sending in blood samples or
sputum samples? Okay, what is sputum? Sputum.
Oh, they're spitting saliva.
Yes, like a saliva, but it's more mucus.
Okay.
Yeah. We enter into agreement with these hospitals that when patients go to these hospitals for TB diagnosis, after the hospital does its work to diagnose TB, they should not throw away the sputum sample. They keep in a freezer. Then we have people who are employed as the sample collectors. They pass through all these hospitals to collect sputum samples, which was meant for discarding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're doing a second line screening. So these sputum samples are sent back to our laboratory, and the rats will go over again. And you know what happens? The rats are capable of detecting around 40% positives in what was thought to be negative in the hospitals, meaning that we get more TB patients than the number of patients that are detected in the hospitals. It is simple because these rats go for the smell produced by Mycobacteria tuberculosis. Mycobacteria tuberculosis produces specific smell, specific volatile organic compound, and these are what the rats are detecting. So if you have TB pathogens in your lungs, but the actual pathogens were not in the sputum samples, methods which are looking for physical evidence, presence of the organism, will not see it. But the rats that are looking for the smell produced by the TB-causing organism, they will indicate it as a TB positive.
See, and just so I can sort of visualize the process where they do this, do you have 150 little tubes that are lined up and the rats go over? Like, how do you know that the rat thinks there's TB?
Okay. In hospital, when you go for TB diagnosis, you are given a sputum cup or sputum container. You put your sputum there. So we collect it as it is, and upon arrival at our laboratory, we want to render it safe for rat trainers, the rat and the environment. So we boil it in autoclave or steam under pressure or steam sterilizer at 100 degrees for half an hour. At this temperature, all mycobacteria and other common pathogens will be dead. Then we have a computer program which will generate the random positions for these, where to put these samples. We don't want to put in a certain series. Like each patient gives 2 sputum samples at the hospital. So we don't want these samples to be in a line. So we generate a random position in the computer, and these random positions, the sputum samples will be put on those. We put also non-positive control, which the rats have been trained to detect, so that they need to be rewarded upon correct indication. So when they are looking for the positive control, they also indicate the blind samples which are coming from the hospitals. And when they hit a positive control, we will click and the rat will come to get a reward. And when they indicate a sample that we do not know the status, that is a sample from hospital, we make a tick in a chart which shows the sample positions. So let alone will confirm with a concentrated smear microscopy whether that specimen had TB. The rat indicates by, I say it takes 1 second or 200 milliseconds. Before a second is complete, the rat has known whether the sputum is TB or not. So if it finds a place where where the sample has a smell, the rat will spend there around 3 seconds, pausing the nose and trying to scratch to show you that it is here.
I see. So
That's the indication.
it is the scratching that it's saying.
Scratching, and it's sticking the nose at the same, because if it is negative, wants to go to the next sample. If it is positive, it will stop there for 3 seconds.
Wow. And is this happening on like a big table?
It is a cage which has bars with 10 holes, and the sputum is put. The sputum caps are put on in these holes in the bar, and the bar is put underneath a table and this table has holes which goes straight to where the sample is underneath. So the rat is walking on top.
I see.
Yeah.
Got it. I understand. Oh, right. Cool. And how do the landmine detection work? Is that a sort of similar idea of like they get trained?
Yes, the landmine training is the same. Everything is the same. But we have to go to advanced stage where we have like 28 hectares of land with around 1,500 bombs buried underneath, but which cannot explode.
Mm-hmm.
And we know the position of these. So that is the training field, which the rats are being trained on daily basis, and they have to show you where the bombs are. Mm-hmm. Upon passing that stage, they will go to countries like Mozambique. We've been operating in Mozambique, Angola, now soon in Zimbabwe. We're also operating in Cambodia. So there, that's the real minefield, where you have to pave to clean the pathway for human to stand and let the rat be searching the area between.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, this might be a silly question. When a rat finds a landmine, what happens?
When it finds the landmine, will start like scratching at that area where there is a landmine.
Yeah.
If no landmine, will continue walking and searching.
So does the rat get killed?
It won't be killed. That is an advantage of the rat.
Okay.
It is lighter.
I see.
Does not have a weight that can trigger the bomb.
Well, that's good news. So I was kind of worried that he goes. Well, I was kind of worried that loads of rats.
It has not happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not even if you have a really fat rat, that won't do it.
No.
Okay. All right.
All the rats which have been deployed in a landmine for over 10 years are safe. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So what happens then? So a rat. So how can the rats are quite small. So how can the human see that the rat is scratching? Do you know what I mean?
The area that is being searched is mapped into grids in a paper. So when the rat scratches at a particular area, you have to shade to indicate that this is the area. Then you go to confirm, like with a metal detector or whatever, the deminers to confirm whether it is a mine in that area. A huge advantage using the rats, because they go for a TNT smell, unlike the metal detector, which will be indicating anything of metal origin. So an area which you can spend like a week with a metal detector, the rat will do much in a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
How old do rats live to be?
In the wild, the rat can live for 2 years. There are a lot of competition in the survival for the fittest. But in captivity, we have rats that go up to 8 years. Then they are getting old. We retire them.
I see.
Yeah.
So is it that their sense of smell starts to deteriorate, or is it that they don't have the energy to run around?
Well, I think when you grow old, you have too many things, just like a human. Yeah.
Oh, so they have lots of other things on their mind. They've had a long life.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, right. And who are the customers of Apopo?
Okay, customers of Apopo is anybody who is interested with saving human lives.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
we are operating in a humanitarian basis. So anybody who is interested in solving human problem and making this place a peaceful place for people is a customer of Apopo.
And who are your biggest customers?
In the sense of beneficiaries, areas in people living in areas affected with a landmine. These countries which have been involved in wars which ended up with laying tons, thousands and thousands of bombs, and making this area unsuitable for socio-economic activities. For TB, people living in countries with a high burden of tuberculosis are major beneficiaries of Apopo, because since when we started, I would say in the last 5 years, we've been able to find around 9,000 TB positive individuals who were missed in the hospitals. And each of these, if would have just been left undiagnosed, could transmit the disease to 10 up to 15 new people per year. Treatment of tuberculosis is free, but governments are paying a lot of money, which if this disease was not there, this money would have been used for other development activities. So governments in these countries are also beneficiaries of Apopo. Yeah.
And so how is Apopo funded?
Apopo is funded by humanitarian basis. People who have a sense of helping, solving problems that are facing people globally contribute to Apopo. There are many large and small, as well as the individual donors. But we have some who started from the beginning, and they're still continuing to support Apopo. There are those that are interested with tuberculosis, and there are those that are interested with the landmine. So it's a diverse. You can also be a fan of Apopo.
I see.
Yeah.
So it is not just organizations. Also, you accept individuals.
Donations. Yeah.
Got it. And so do they just go to your website? And
you go to our website, which is www.apopo.org. There you can adopt a rat, paying around €5 or €5 per month. This money is enough to support the rat feeding and the training, and you can also be linked to receiving live streams of how your rat is performing.
Well, you can have a live stream.
Yeah.
So how do you do that?
We are planning having people engaged with whenever you want to get updates on your animal. These people should be ready to provide the information for you. We haven't reached this stage yet, but we are looking forward to that.
Are you going to start putting like GoPros a GoPro on the back of a rat so that you can see what the rat is? Or is that too far?
Well, maybe
next year.
Maybe that's the direction. Yeah.
I see. What have been the main lessons that you've learned through running Apopo?
The main lesson that I have learned is that patience is something that is very much needed to succeed in any innovative ideas which cannot be easily accepted in the community. But with patience, even training the animal, we have a lot of students who are failing in schools, universities. Now consider someone training an animal to do such a job. You need a lot of patience, right? And you also need to be ready to face all kinds of skepticism, challenges, criticism, which we invite it very much because that's what making us progress. Because if you meet people who have a different perception, they make you always on alert to know what to do in order to maximize or to increase acceptability. We have seen that, for instance, we started with the 4 hospitals. Now we have 28, which is an indication that the ideas is being received well. And we hope to expand more and more. We started in Tanzania. Now TB operation is working in Mozambique. Hopefully we'll start in other African countries. So we'll see it growing. We really appreciate the support from donors who I would say we are ready to support these high risk projects, which if you don't have big heart, you won't be able to fund. But they were willing, and we are seeing success now.
Awesome. When you look at, so this is the way I say it is like, we found that rats have this ability, this superhuman ability in their sense of smell. Are there any other partnerships with other animals that you're seeing, okay, we might look to use this type of animal because of their superhuman ability?
When we started this, I pursued my PhD on this area, TB detection using African giant rats. By the time there were groups who were training bees, I think it was wasps, and recently I heard some groups are training worms. Yeah, like worms, the earthworms. They have also very high, worms. They have also very high sense of smelling. But I think the rats remain unique. We have heard of dogs being trained to detect cancer. The time it takes to train a dog to the task is far longer than the time it takes to train a rat. So I think we chose.
Why is that? Why does it take? Because don't dogs have a bigger brain?
Yes. But the dog, you can communicate with the dog, right? You can communicate, you can talk, but you cannot talk to the rat.
Okay.
maybe that also complicates things.
So the fact that you can talk to a dog makes it more difficult?
Yeah, the dog can obey your command, but it can also have a different interpretation of what you are saying.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, because your channels of communication.
Yes. It's more. It's more. I think if you are looking at your dog, it's capable of also knowing whether you are angry or not.
Yeah.
But the rat cannot do that.
I see. Oh, so because there is so much more that the dog could interpret, it takes longer for it to learn.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
That's I always say when I'm interacting with a dog or a cat, I'm always very, very careful because I know I'm interacting with something which has also something that I don't know.
Cool. Okay, so for now you're going to be sticking with the rats.
Yeah, I think we'll stick with the rats, and we are seeing rats have a huge potential.
Awesome.
First, it is easy to keep, cheap. They eat things which are largely easily available, and it's easy to house them. Yeah, compared to the dog.
And so when you so we'll just do a few more questions. When you look forward sort of 3 years, what does Apopo look like?
Well, I say we started with the 4 hospitals. We just completed a TB active case finding. The one I was talking to is a second line screening, where we screen individuals who have been already screened by hospitals. But we want also to find TB in individuals who do not even think that they have TB, people living in high-risk populations. We have done this in the sugarcane plantation workers. We have completed this in prisoners. in Morogoro region, together with also with the prison staff and the encampment residents. We are also looking forward to TB screening in a high-risk population. You know, Tanzania is hosting a large number of refugees. These refugees live in a condition which is it's not like it's different from their homes that they left. So we think they are vulnerable to TB. They have high chances of getting TB if you have a 50,000 or 100,000 individuals in the area. The chances of TB transmission becomes high. So we want also to employ the rats in those communities. So our future is to bring down the TB program by doing also active case finding people who doesn't have TB signs, and if we can find that and those can get treated, we can reduce the TB burden.
Awesome. And so, people listening at home, how can they follow Apopo? How can they get involved? What are the best ways to follow what you guys are up to?
Apopo is very close to the people. The Sokoine University of Agriculture is where Apopo is operating. Is a strong partner of Apopo. Every year we participate in public exhibitions, which are visited with all walks, people of all kinds, from the lowest level to the level of the ministers. And every year we participate in these. Not only one, maybe 4 or 2 or up to 4 times in different events. And the people have a chance to see and ask questions about what we are doing. So we value this very much, and by knowing that even if you do good innovation, but if cannot be accepted or used, will be useless. We also receive a large number of primary, secondary, and college students coming to Apopo in one-day visit to learn different aspects. Also, we also receive some intern students as well as the students doing their field practical training. We believe that this is a expanding future research avenues. These people in the future may come up with something which could enhance the technology in different ways.
Okay, awesome. And do you have sort of a Facebook page and a Twitter page as well?
Yes, we do have.
Perfect, cool. I'll make sure that I link to those in the show notes as well.
We do have.
Perfect. Cool. Well, Georgia, that was super interesting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam.
Before we head, just a quick moment to say thank you for listening. You can see the show notes of this episode by heading to samfloy.com/podcast and then searching for the episode title. That's samfloy.com/podcast. Now, a few people have got in touch and have been asking about how this podcast came about. And well, it all started when I took a one-way flight to Rwanda to seek out business opportunities across the region. I'm now at the stage of formulating a bit of a plan of the business I want to go into, based on all of these podcast interviews, and we'll be keeping a record of what I get up to on my blog. And so if you're interested in being kept in the loop, you can sign up to the newsletter there. Again, it's samfloy.com. Also, if you have any questions, comments or feedback about the podcast, or indeed anything, please feel free to email me, podcast@samfloy.com, and I'd be very happy to chat. In any case, have a great week and speak to you soon.